Hello and welcome to the United States for round 14 of the 2021 Formula Virtual World Championship. My name's Brady Doughton and I'm joined today by Robert Mathershaw.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Today then the drivers will tackle 58 laps of this famous circuit known as the Brickyard, 14 turns and just shy of 4 kilometres. It was Will Hoskins for home team first that won here last year. Can they repeat that again here today? There are championship permutations then. First in the drivers, the second weekend in a row, Nathaniel Powers can be the champion if he finishes in any of the top 4 positions today, but that will depend on the results of others. If he wins, Ruiz and Kangaroo out. If he's anywhere in the top 4, Kangaroo is out. There are also Constructors' Championship permutations. That is far more likely. Downton will be 4-time champions today if they score 13 points, so if any car is on the podium, or if they don't lose more than 30 points to Mathershaw. We will keep you updated throughout the race. Let's have a look how they line up then. And in fact, it's Nathaniel Powers in pole position. The champion-elect starts from the front. He's got Felix Perez alongside, looking to make it another great race for first. Maximilian Thunstrom in a brilliant qualifying, and Adrian Simon line up on the second row, while Elroy Wagner goes from 5th, just ahead of Enrique Ruiz. A mix of medium and super soft tyres at the front. Keep an eye on that. Some real varying strategies. They'll be keen to clear the medium runners early doors. Nick Addison starts from 7th then, just ahead of Will Hoskins, while Klaas van Snelheid is down in 9th. And with Alar Kanga 10th, if it finishes as it starts, Powers will be the champion. So as I say, we will keep an eye on that. Thierry Zylander is just outside of the top 10. He starts in 11th place with Timo Kinnaman alongside the Finn. Another brilliant qualifying for Westwood then, and we'll be hoping to move forward. Marcus Thunder starts from 13th. Couldn't repeat or couldn't echo what his teammate did. He's got Johan Halverson alongside him with a solid effort from the North Star team. Hunter Ryan goes from 15th from the lead of the Ocelots, with Finn Schneider alongside on row 8. Danilo Farini, it was another disappointing qualifying for him. He starts in 17th. Brock Kidd in the second of the North Stars. His home race, he lines up 18th. It's Jean Matson 19th with an all Jaguar powered row 10. He's got Yukumi Takahashi alongside him. Puccio Giordano was out qualified by his teammate once again. He starts from 21st. It was a disappointing session for Sergio Alvarez, 11 places behind his teammate. He'll be hoping to move forward on the Super Softs. Jules Barkley starts 23rd with James Vazquez alongside him on row 12, and at the back of the grid we have Max Meyer and Nikolai Milkovic, who makes another race for Highwind. So as we go down to the grid then, it's Nathaniel Powers in pole position on the left, Felix Perez alongside him on the right. The lights go out now, we're racing at Indianapolis then. It looks like a good start from Perez in second then. On those super soft tyres already alongside and nosing ahead of pole sitter Nathaniel Powers. Powers on those mediums of course. Perez, can he sweep around the outside of turn 1 to take the lead? He can indeed. Felix Perez goes through then and leads at turn 1 from Nathaniel Powers. Behind him it's Adrian Simon and Maximilian Thunstrom side by side, but it's the Swede who comes out on top then. So Thunstrom holds on to his third position ahead of Simon as Ruiz slots into 5th ahead of Wagner, but up front Felix Perez already making a break for it.
Stunning start from the Mexican there. Home race for the first team, and this is a brilliant way to start it off. On the super soft tyres, as you say, this is going to be crucial. Already 8 tenths per second up, nearly 9 tenths now over Nathaniel Powers. Thunstrom and Seaman really need to get going, but yeah, Perez, brilliant start on those tyres. Absolutely,
as there then was a brilliant move as well. Will Hoskins past Nick Addison. Perez scampering away at the front already. As you say, it is a 2 compound difference between him and Powers in second place, who already has Maximilian Thunstrom all over the back of him then as they complete the first lap. Here at Indianapolis, Powers under immense pressure from the Swede. In fact, Thunstrom pulls out, looks to the inside line. He'll surely make this at turn 1. Thunstrom late on the brakes. Powers is going to try and hang it around the outside. Thunstrom then absolutely wheel to wheel with the defending champion, but Thunstrom takes it on the outside of turn 2.
Wow, fantastic. Thunstrom really needed to make that move. It was then or never really, but in that one move he lost another 8 tenths of a second to the leader Perez, so Adrian Simon needs to be the next one through next lap, otherwise he's already going to start losing touch with the 2 leaders.
Absolutely. Perez then scampering away at front, as he did, let's not forget, 2 weeks ago in Canada, and I'm sure he'd have been hoping that, as happened in Canada, the guy in second place held those behind up a little bit more, but it hasn't happened. Thunstrom is through, and Maximilian Thunstrom then trying to make inroads already into that lead of Felix Perez, as now Adrian Simon lines up the championship leader.
Yeah, Perez, as you say, second week in a row, it seems that the first car on North American soil just finds another gear. Absolutely brilliant. But yes, it's going to be interesting. Can Adrian Simon get into that slipstream? And it looks like he's going to manage it, hopefully.
Yeah, indeed. Simon then absolutely flying up to Powers' rear wing. He noses down the inside at turn 1 then. Powers again is surely going to try and hang it out, but Simon will likely get the traction on the outside of turn 2, and indeed he does. And Adrian Simon goes through into third, then Nathaniel Powers slips another place. Those medium tyres really not working here early stages of the race. We're only on to lap 3. He's already over 4 seconds behind leader Perez.
Yeah, but 2 compounds less, it might well be 2 pit stops less as well, which means that actually, even with a relatively slow start, it's going to be good. Another thing to look at is as they go around the outside of turn 1, he can hang it around the outside. If we're going to get one compound difference or even a battle on equal tyre strategy here, I think we're going to see an absolute barnstormer through the entire first sector.
Absolutely, could well be the case as further behind Will Hoskins has gone past Elroy Wagner as well and is now up into 7th. Wagner also on those medium tyres. He doesn't seem to be slipping down the field quite as much at this point, although behind him is actually Nick Addison on the softs.
Yeah, Wagner seems to have done really well there on the mediums, as you say. I don't know whether there's just a bit of an element that there's still a bit more of a pack going. He can stay in that slipstream, but take advantage of that through down the straights, and then try and make it all up in the corners. But yeah, no, it's been a brilliant start from Wagner.
I wonder how much of that is to do, as we've got
Wow.
2x2 here at the back. That's the North Stars battling, and I think that's Giordano involved. Yeah, and Giordano losing a couple of places there to Brock Kidd and nearly Sergio Alvarez, and I think Farini got through ahead of them as well.
Yeah, Alvarez though on the super soft tyre, I believe. He needs to be a bit careful because he did lock up into turn 3, so not only is he on the grippiest tyre that's going to require more pit stops, he has got to look after them if he's going to
As that's Vasquez, pulling out late on Jules Barclay, and a great move there from the oh my god, the Colombian. That's what he is.
Yes, absolutely. With an S in his name. That's an inside joke there for you all.
Yes, indeed. As up front then, Enrique Ruiz now in the wheel tracks of Nathaniel Powers. Ruiz hasn't been able to get past Powers yet, but it looks as though he will surely do so this time. Ruiz pulls out, he looks down the inside, and Nathaniel Powers is surely going to lose another place, as Ruiz has the inside line for turn 1, it's the outside for turn 2, and 3 goes, and Klaas van Snelheid, opportunistic, follows Ruiz through.
There you go. And
Hoskins as well. Yeah, Hoskins as well up the inside. They're going to be side by side through the left-right. Powers backs out of it.
Yeah, interestingly there, through that last set of corners, it was Ruiz, Van Snelheid and Hoskins all line astern, just that little bit closer to each other. That meant Powers holding it around the outside, just this time lost in 3 positions in a row. But I still think it's going to come back to him. 7.4 seconds after 5 laps. It's not a disaster.
It's not, no. And it's not necessarily a long pit lane, but we think it's going to be a fairly long pit delta here. Just because of where, I was going to say of where the pit lane is situated, but obviously it's on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, but the way into the pit lane is through the exit of the second to last corner on the outside on the right. And as you say, they are full chat from the second to last corner all the way down to turn 1 as we see Klaas van Snelheid making a move on Enrique Ruiz. But I think we're seeing in evidence, now I think Van Snelheid manages it, but Ruiz putting up a little bit more of a stout defence on equal tyre, but yeah, Van Snelheid, brilliant move. Yeah,
and Klaas van Snelheid needs to do that then. Wasn't a great qualifying, was down in 9th on the grid, but now on lap 6 then he's already up into 4th. But I mean, he needs this.
And you have to say that 3.5 seconds away from Maximilian Thunstrom in second. Do you know what? 6.5 seconds, I wouldn't put it past either of the Latin drivers to make up that kind of delta across another 52 laps of this circuit. So, yeah, Van Snelheid putting himself right into contention, I think.
Absolutely, and he needs to if he's going to extend this championship. Then, it is entirely possible that Nathaniel Powers could win the drivers' title here today. In fact, if they finished as they lined up on the grid, it would be the case. Nathaniel Powers would be a 5-time champion.
Yeah, well, Powers has it all to do from 7th, but he has the tyre strategy to his advantage in terms of less stops. It's going to be another fascinating one today.
It will indeed. We will keep across that, the championship situation, both in terms of the drivers and the constructors. That is far more likely to be clinched today, but we will keep across that as the race progresses then. But it's Felix Perez leading here on lap 7, then ahead of Maximilian Thunstrom and Adrian Simon, as Klaas van Snelheid having just fought his way into 4th now tries to close up on the pair ahead of him. The pair ahead of him, who are actually now nose to tail then, Adrian Simon onto the rear wing of Maximilian Thunstrom.
Yeah, Simon seems to have a bit of pace here, but I think it might be more of a case that Lucas has just started to struggle now. It's in the clear air, and you can see the full extent of its pace, because 2.8 seconds, well, nearly 3 seconds, the lead for Felix Perez now. Whoa, that's a wild move there. Who was that? Jean Matson around the outside.
Yeah, that's Matson wide, and through then goes I don't think it was just Farini. I think there were a couple more there, but Farini's gained from that. Farini's 18th. I'm sure he qualified higher than he was. He was 17th on the grid. It's not been a great start for the Swiss racer after a fairly poor qualifying.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as well. And I think it's drivers that I don't think he's lost out to any of the super soft runners particularly. It's just been a really poor start on those soft tyres.
Yes, sorry, I was miles away. Not great there for Farini at all then, as I mean, it's not going particularly well for his teammate either. Nick Addison's also lost a couple of positions, although I believe that is to super soft runners.
Yes, Wagner, well, Power's obviously come down, but Hoskins and Wagner certainly aren't they? They're on the super soft, so yeah, no, I think...
Wagner's on the mediums, but yeah, Hoskins and Klaus Van Schnauer have gone past him.
Ah, yes, yeah.
And Addison, in fact, actually is still stuck behind Wagner on those mediums, so I'm just wondering, we saw this earlier in the season, but it's kind of disappeared in recent races, but I wonder if we're getting that case again where 2 steps softer, it's fairly comfortable to overtake. Actually, when you're only on tyres that are 1 step softer, it's not quite as straightforward.
No, I think you might be right, but I also think that we have to give Elroy Wagner some credit here, because he's 0.4 of a second off the back of Nathaniel Powers on the same time. I know that he's got the slipstream, but even so, that's a pretty impressive performance from Elroy Wagner. And if I am going to be confident in my assertion that Nathaniel Powers is going to come back during this race, you have to say Elroy Wagner's in with a shout as well.
Yeah, absolutely a fair shout there then, as my words have gone to pot. I don't know what's going on. As yeah, Powers leading a bit of a 4-car train there, isn't he, with Wagner, Addison and Kanga all stuck in it.
Yeah, distinct lack of pace from the Downton for the first time this season. I think we can say something like that. But yeah,
he's had the odd duck qualifying session, but even that, he's still been in the top 10.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Just having a little look further down the order, Nikolai Milkovic, I think, is the only hard-tired runner today.
He is, yes.
Yeah. Already 7.5 seconds away from Max Meyer in the next, in the 25th spot in the AMR. So it's going to be a long day for Nikolai Milkovic, but it's going to be interesting to see whether or not the hard tyre can do anything other than run to the end without pitting.
Yes. I'm not wholly convinced, but we'll keep an eye on it, as Vasquez and Barkley having a cracking little scrap, and here we see it then. I've watched them swap places on the timing screens for the last sort of like 15 seconds or so, and here they go, wheel to wheel down the straight, but I think Vasquez has just about got that move done now then, and I'm sure he was ahead of Barkley anyway, so Barkley obviously coming back at the Colombian.
Yeah, another disappointing start to a race from Jules Barkley, but he seems to be slowly but surely making his way back up. But yeah, James Vasquez, again, James Vasquez is another one that we've seen some real flashes of brilliance from in this season, haven't we? Like, absolutely outperforming that Ingram Jaguar. But yeah, just a bit of a disappointment today. It's one of the closest things he's going to get to a home race, being on, well, north of the right continent. But yeah.
Surely Brazil.
One of his home races. One of it, I said, didn't I?
But yeah, I think Vasquez and Ingram have got to be the oddity of the season, haven't they? They picked up that just frankly ridiculous 3rd place in Australia, a 5th somewhere later in the season, can't quite remember where that was. But then aside from that, have been pretty much nowhere.
Was it in Jerez?
I wanted to say France.
I don't know, but either way, in fact, if it was France as well, it's all circuits that are very much benefiting those people that are going aero heavy. So I don't know whether or not that the Ingram just has an awful lot of aerodynamic capability, which means that, you know, we have seen in some places it's visibly down on straight line speed.
We were both wrong. It was Germany.
Germany again, though. Germany suits my narrative, so I'm going to accept that as an answer.
It certainly does.
Meanwhile, Felix Perez.
Romping away, isn't he? 4 seconds clear now. But then Thunstrom's defending from Simon, and this is playing into Perez's hands.
Yeah, most definitely. Perez just needs to stroke this one, keep taking the laps away. It's exactly the same thing as I said in Canada, but I'm not going to say anything more than that. because I felt very guilty after the last one. But Adrian Simon, now 2.5 tenths per second away from Maximilian Thunstrom, really needs to get past if he has any hope of beating this first today.
Absolutely, especially with Klaas van Snelheid closing rapidly onto them as well. But, I mean, what Perez needs to do is essentially exactly what he did in Canada without doing exactly what he did in Canada.
Yeah, absolutely that, yeah. It is easier said than done, but, he's one of the best drivers in the world for a reason, and I have every faith that if anyone can pull it off today, Felix Perez is one of them.
He is, and on the plus side, the walls are slightly further away here, generally, with the exception of the final corner and the pit straight.
Yeah, but those are the best. Those are the most error-prone places. So we can see what happens.
We can indeed, but here's hoping. Perez really did deserve that last time out, save for those couple of incidents. It's very rare that a driver loses a race twice, but unfortunately it did happen for Perez. Let's not forget though, first, our defending race winners here. They picked up victory here last season with Will Hoskins in a rather unusual podium. He was joined by, it was John Matson and Johan Halverson, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe it was.
After things somewhat fell apart for the teams at the front.
Yes, most definitely, I think. Well, I certainly know. I wouldn't say that my race was ever together to fall apart, but yes, absolutely.
I don't know. They sort of lined up semi-okay on the grid. After that, it went wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I'm pretty sure qualifying was underwhelming at best as well. But,
yeah, do you know what? I think it was actually. No, you say
it was. Yeah, looking at what you were saying earlier on about Adrian Simon, he isn't being reeled in that much by Enrique Ruiz, but by Klaas van Snelheid. Enrique Ruiz, however, is slowly but surely getting onto the back of Van Snelheid. So actually, if everything does converge as we expect it to, we might well have second through fifth all in a line. And indeed, actually, at this point, Will Hoskins being pulled along as well. So we could have second through sixth all in one line battling for the bottom two spots on the podium. Absolutely,
they are converging nicely, aren't they? As Kanga's on the super softs as well, isn't it? I think Powers, Wagner, Addison on the mediums, and softs respectively, causing a little bit of a roadblock here for the cars behind. You've got Kanga on the super softs.
Thunder's on the softs as well.
Yeah, Thunder's on the softs. To be fair, Zylander only on the mediums, but I'd have expected Kanga to make more progress, but it's just not quite happening for him.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right what you were saying earlier. I think Ala Kanga can't get past Addison because he's on one compound softer. Addison can't get past Wagner or Powers, which means Kanga can't get past anybody because even though he has got that two-step advantage over eighth and over seventh and eighth, he's got to, as we've got on we got
Adrian Simon dives into the pits then, followed by Klaas van Snelheid. Interestingly, neither of the top two have pitted.
Yeah, it's a real boon for Felix Perez, the fastest car on the circuit, and not having to worry about pitting. Enrique Ruiz, interestingly, hasn't pit either. This is just short, I think, of a 4-stop.
Okie dokie, so it seems to be then the cars who have been doing a lot of overtaking or stuck in traffic, they seem to have used their tyres a little bit more. Let's keep an eye on the pit hours here. It seemed like a fairly nice stop for Adrian Simon, but it's, look at that, it's well over a 30-second, 30.8 for Adrian Simon, 31.4 for Klaas van Snelheid as they rejoin in 20th and 22nd respectively. It is a long stop here at Indianapolis.
The problem is that the pit limiter line is very early on in the pit straight as well, or in the pits as well. So as we've got Felix Perez coming in, absolutely hanging it around the outside there.
He really was.
So you can see here that this is where the pit limiter line is. So you've got a very long pit lane. Then you've got where they're making their pit stops, and then they're quite a long way out as well. So it might not be the longest in terms of distance, but with where they're restricted in speed, it's really quite a long way.
Absolutely, especially with their rivals flying past at full pace as well. As there we see Nathaniel Powers leading the medium and soft tyre train, but it's Thunstrom, Ruiz and Perez all into the pits then. And in fact, Thunstrom and I thought Thunstrom had jumped Perez then.
Yes, no, it was very close there, but I think that Perez just got out in time to essentially block the...
Oh, no, that's Perez then, as he rejoins, has collided with the North Star once again, although this time it's Johan Halverson. That has allowed Maximilian Thunstrom through. So has gone. So through has gone Simon, and so has Ruiz.
Oh, that is unbelievable. Felix Perez coming out the pit lane around. In fact, we're going to get an on board with it here. Coming through on the right-hand side where the pit entry blends in and just cuts straight across that North Star. Unfortunately, I think on this occasion we have to say Felix Perez culpable for that one.
Yeah, well, I think that was the case. I think that was the case in North Star in Canada as well. But yeah, that was absolutely on Perez. Just kind of, you know, they always say, don't they, when they're teaching you to drive, mirror signal maneuver, and well, he forgot the mirror there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, wow, that was cut straight across. Absolutely nowhere for Halverson to go, unfortunately. But another shocker from Perez, you have to say.
It is indeed. A third mistake in 2 races then from Felix Perez has cost him the lead here at Indianapolis. That now goes to, well, I mean, in fairness, at the moment it's Nathaniel Powers, but Powers hasn't pitted. The net lead then of everyone who's pitted is we've got a little bit of carnage further back. This is Giordano. Giordano trying to go past Klaas van Snelheid despite the fact the Dutchman's pitted and is on fresh super softs. That's not great at all, but Van Snelheid now onto the back of Perez, but the net leader is Maximilian Thunstrom.
Yeah, Maximilian Thunstrom doing brilliantly there and ahead of Kidd, crucially, as we have 3 wide going into there.
And that's straight over the curb goes Adrian Simon, but it's aided in past Brock Kidd then.
And he's just got past Enrique Ruiz, I think. So we had the Porsche going down the pit straight. I was going to say it's a very similar situation to what you're saying with Giordano there. Brock Kidd on used 18-lap-old medium tyres now. The Porsche was right behind the entire way from the penultimate corner up to turn 1, getting a really good look at that Ford gearbox, but just didn't pull out and just didn't have the straight line speed. I don't know whether or not whether it's just a case that they haven't got the tyres warm, or whether or not that Ford is simply fantastic in a straight line, which is entirely possible. I think we might see it again here. Are they just going to get the move completed?
I think Ruiz is going to get it this time.
But yeah, it certainly wasn't as easy as expected to be. But Adrian Simon there, we've said all season that I don't know whether there's a case for him to be rejuvenated this year compared to his performances last year. But I think it's another one where we've seen him just absolutely going balls to the wall.
Absolutely, a little bit of nice little bit of opportunistic driving there from Perez as well to sneak through past Brock Kidd up into 12th to follow Enrique Ruiz. He'll be very keen to make up for that mistake, as now Klaas van Snelheid attacks Kidd at his home race, and through goes the Dutchman into 13th.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see Felix Perez driving past the North Star rather than through one as well. But we've got Marcus Thunder in the pit lane now as well, the soft runners. So actually that's only, what, 4 or 5 laps, isn't it? Extra for that soft-tired runner of Thunder. So who else are we expecting in? Addison, Farini and Jean Matson next.
Yeah, I think there's only the 4 of them on the softs.
Yeah, unless Marcus Thunder has had a problem. My timing screen's a little bit out of reach at the moment, so I can't quite see how long his pit stop was.
I don't think he's quite out of the pit lane yet. It seems to be
3.6 seconds it was, so it wasn't actually that bad. I just wondered whether or not there was damage, which meant that he was going to be the only one pitting. But yeah, no, the soft-tired runner hadn't made a particularly good delta on the super soft with the extra pits or with the pit stop time. So it's kind of, I don't know. Although, as I say, I think that the super soft runners were kind of 4.1 pit stops net. So if they can get another lap somewhere, like perhaps, in fact, Felix Perez has managed, that might be the difference between a 4 and a 5 stop race for those super softs.
Well, quite. But
a 3 and a 4 stop.
I was going to say, some of them pitted at the end of lap 14, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which, as it stands, would be a 4 stopper. Those that pitted on lap 15 are good to the flag unless something goes wrong. As we see the other soft runners now diving in, as that is Maximilian Thunstrom moving up back into 4th ahead of Timo Kinnaman then. Kinnaman obviously in an elevated position at the moment, thanks to his medium tyres. As behind them, nope, that's just Perez running around behind Enrique Ruiz.
Yep, absolutely. I think Timo Kinnaman with another case of vertigo this weekend. Good to see him right up there where he belongs. Danilo Farini out in 20th position, it's going to look like. 22nd, sorry. So I think Addison and Farini weren't that far apart on track by the time they both hit it. But, I don't think it was the 10 seconds they've got there. I don't know whether or not one of them got
It probably was, to be fair. Farini was quite far down the order.
Well, that's what I was surprised by. I think what it might have been is they might have been closed up by the fact that one was in the pit lane before the other, so it foreshortened that time. But yeah, Nathaniel Powers back in the lead. It feels like a race where Powers is leading, but we haven't really spoken about him. But Elroy Wagner right behind him, 0.3 of a second on the same tyre. I don't know. I think Lopez have a lot to be pleased about so far. I think Al Arkanga, yes, up until this point, has been blocked by some of the harder compounds, but I don't know whether he's got. So he's got Giordano ahead now. What's Giordano running? A medium tyre. So yeah, Al Arkanga really needs to get that move completed as well. Otherwise, he's going to have another stint in traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Which soft-tyred runner was it that pitted earlier? It was Thunder, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Thunder needs to extend a couple of his stints here because he pitted at the end of lap 18, which would put him on a three-stop strategy and some 4 laps short at the end as well.
Right. So he's going to be a net 1 stop less, I think, than the. Well, he might just about be a net equal on stop tyre strategy. But I also think that the rest of the soft runs are either going to be 1 or even 2 stops less than the super soft. So, well, everything's right on the threshold here. So it's going to be a fascinating one to see how this plays out. It
really is. This is absolutely going to be a race of who can look after their tyres the best, essentially, and just eke that extra lap out of them. As Timo Kinnaman has already lost position to Adrian Simon. Enrique Ruiz through before turn 1. Felix Perez going to try and get the move done as well. And indeed he does. On the outside of turn 2, Perez cleanly through and up into 7th place.
Yeah, Perez, he's making his mistakes.
Oh, to Kanga, sorry. Al Arkanga through finally on, with Giordano's now well down the order. But Kanga through past Ryan and now past Kidd and up into 11th as Hunter Ryan now does Brock Kidd as well.
Yeah, great move there from Kanga. I'm just saying that first, I'm really impressed with the chassis that they've got. I think that Perez really following quite nicely, so it's not really that affected by the aerodynamic wash, but following the 2 Porsches, as we've got Marcus Thunder trying something on Giordano, going to hang it around the outside of where the 2 switchback hairpins used to be before the right-hander onto the onto what used to be the speedway before the additional section. But wow, action galore.
Yeah. Do you know, I think Thunder and the Franklins are really going to struggle here. Those soft tyres against now quite a few medium-tyred runners. We've seen the difficulty in getting past, and despite the fact they're fresh, I'm not sure they're going to find it particularly easy, as now Klaas van Snelheid then goes past Timo Kinnaman and up into 8th place. After coming alive at the end of the first stint, Van Snelheid's pace seems to have somewhat vanished.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's just because he's been stuck behind a couple of runners right at the start of his stint, perhaps just in traffic with everybody else. It's just taken a bit of bite out of his tyre, so he can't quite get the pace that he was getting in the first stint. But I think you're absolutely right, though. I think the soft-tyred runners now, I'm gonna discount them now. I'm gonna take the risk and discount them. We know that I like to hedge my bets more than anybody when it comes to a tyre choice. But I think that this race was very much you got to go one way or the other. You can't go too far. Nikolai Milkovic only 3.7 seconds off second to last. So, with the pace of the Chima, the Highwind, sorry, not bad going.
And what tyres is Halverson's on the mediums? Right, so Halverson hasn't pitted. No.
No, none of the mediums have pitted, have they? No, of course they haven't.
No, but that can't be right. Halverson can't be that far back. As we now see, that's Will Hoskins going past Timo Kinnaman and up into 9th. There's no way Halverson's that far back. He must have pitted. There must have been an incident. Oh, he was collected by Perez, wasn't he? I wonder if that caused damage.
Well, it certainly caused him to stop periodically.
Yes.
So, okay, 13 seconds to Jean Matson on the soft. So actually, Jean Matson's done a pit stop and he's already still 13 seconds. Okay, Nikolai Milkovic having a tough day of this.
Yeah, it's going to be a long race. There are definitions of a long race. If you looked it up in the dictionary, this is one of them for Nikolai Milkovic.
I would say generally the definition involves a picture of a high wind, but we won't go into that.
That's harsh.
Well, he doesn't listen.
This is true. This is very true. Nathaniel Powers then leads the way here at Indianapolis. Hasn't pitted yet on those medium tyres. As we move on to lap 25, he's got Elroy Wagner chasing him down right behind him then. Thierry Zylander, solid job so far from the Belgium. He is also on the medium tyres, isn't he? He's only 2.5 seconds off Powers.
Jesus. So I was saying earlier that Wagner has to be in with a shout of a win if I'm saying Powers. It's Thierry Zylander. I mean, I don't want to say anything too soon, but what about a Zylander Thunstrom podium with somebody else in third?
Well, it is Indianapolis. We normally get those kind of results here. It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Oh, absolutely.
And I tell you, that would be a popular podium.
Highwind at this point would have been wishing they put Diego Campos in the car, because it would have been a shoe-in for victory, surely.
Almost definitely, absolutely. Just a quick championship update then, as we're approaching the halfway point in the race. Obviously, drivers are running out of order at the moment due to strategies, but if it finished as it is at the moment, Nathaniel Powers would be champion and Downton would take the constructors as well. In fairness, they only need a podium to secure that.
I was going to say,
or 13 points.
I think Downton merely need to turn up for the rest of the season and they'll be okay. If we got here, I think we've got...
Thunstrom.
Marcus Thunder? No,
Thunstrom taking third then from Thierry Zylander. Zylander's going to try and hang it around the outside of turn 1, but Thunstrom has much fresher and much softer and much grippier tyres, and Thunstrom is through into third then, and he needed that because he was starting to be caught by Adrian Simon, but he's now put a car between himself and the Frenchman.
Yeah, but not being caught anywhere near as much as you'd perhaps expect. That Lucas, all the way from round 1 at Fuji, actually, Lucas have had periodic flashes of pace, but they've certainly been level with the Porsche. And it would appear that wherever the Porsche is having a decent time of it, Lucas are going to have a great day. But then actually they have seemed to perform and outperform the Porsche in places where we've really struggled. So Maximilian Thunstrom, yet again, having a storming race.
He certainly is. They've come on leaps and bounds in the last handful of races, haven't they, Lucas?
Since they've been inviting all these rock stars to perform, I think that's given them an extra boost.
It certainly seems to be the case. They'll definitely keep doing that, I'm sure. And let's not forget Maximilian Thunstrom then. He is in the net lead of this race, fresh from his maiden podium last time out in Canada. Okay, it came late on and it came as a result of someone else making a bit of a boo-boo, but every podium you've got to take it, and Thunstrom did indeed. He could have won in Canada. He was right there at the end and on the softest compound of the top 3.
Well, yeah, you've got to say, as you say, you've got to take the points in the podiums and the wins when they come. Just ask Enrique Ruiz. I think these two have been hanging around in the paddock a bit too much.
Absolutely. In fact, I think it was. I think I'm right in saying the top 3 finished within a second of one another in Canada. That's how close Thunstrom was to a maiden victory. He's currently in, as it stands, he could do that today, but there's a long way to go yet, and these medium tyres are now not quite at the point of doing a one-stop, are they?
No, they need to do another lap and a half, basically.
Yes, but nearly there, and Thunstrom's going to have to pit at least twice more.
Yes, I'd probably suggest that rather than doing 1.5, they should do 2 laps before pitting, but that's a technicality. As we've got Adrian Simon down the inside of Thierry Zylander. Zylander putting up a bit of a fight, but puts up too much of a fight, and Enrique Ruiz can just sweep round the outside. But can Felix Perez take advantage before the end of the lap? Or is he going to have to wait until turn 1?
Yeah, Zylander managed to at least slot back in there behind Enrique Ruiz and stop the rot, shall we say, or stop himself slipping any further down the field. As Maximilian Thunstrom immediately onto the back of Elroy Wagner.
Yeah, absolutely. Just thinking, we are pretty much halfway through the race now, and to be honest, it's absolutely flown by. But also, everything from medium and super soft has just converged to the front. If we do see the medium tyre runners pitting now, we're going to see them converge again right at the end. So we're on for an absolutely brilliant finish. Well,
absolutely. It's we've had one stop for the supers and nothing for the mediums, and in the second part of this race we're expecting 2 more stops for the supers and 1 for the mediums. So yeah, as you say, it is looking nicely to line up here at the end, but that's Maximilian Thunstrom down the inside of Elroy Wagner at turn 1. He'll surely have the traction on the outside of turn 2, and through into second goes the Swede then. As into the pits we've got Klaas van Snelheid and Will Hoskins.
Yes, well, we expected another round of pit stops, and alas, there they are, exactly on the halfway mark. So you'd expect that this will be their second of 3 stops now, wouldn't you?
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, 14 and 15, isn't it? Make 29. So yes, they should be all right to the end now, then, shouldn't they?
Well, with 1 more stop, yes.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I think we're
yes,
now past the point of expecting any of the super soft runners to do a 4-stop.
Yes, the 4.1 stints that they were going to have to do, they've managed to which was literally 1 lap short. And here we go, is that Nathaniel Powers?
Yeah,
yes.
It is. Powers on the mediums then. Dives into the pit lane. Interestingly, Thunstrom on his supers has gone yet another lap. But Powers dives in with Elroy Wagner, Simon, Ruiz all in as well then.
Right, this is a very crowded pit lane. We're going to have to be careful here. Who is going to get balked and who is going to get out and take advantage and take positions?
Yep, Zylander joins them in the pits, as does Kanga, the only one. So Thunstrom and Perez, the only ones that have gone through.
Takahashi, right, the fact that we've got pretty much half the field in the pits at this point, someone is going to get blocked. And I think Powers has been held a little bit there.
Yep.
But it's been okay. And I think we've just seen Ruiz jump we've just seen Ruiz jump Simon as well, I think. No, sorry, that was just the timing screen failing to update. But yeah, that's a hectic pit lane, but everyone seems to have got out okay.
It has indeed. So Powers has got out into 7th place then, ahead of Simon, Ruiz. Zylander, that's contact between Kanga and Van Snelheid, I think. Or, nope, the timing screen's Wagner and Van Snelheid. That was a long stop from Elroy Wagner, 44 seconds in the pit lane.
It was. I think he got heavily boxed. I think his pit bay is right at the start, which means that all of those pack markers coming into the pits, he had to wait for every single one of them. And I think they did manage to just avoid contact. I think Wagner locked up his brand new tyres and immediately ruined them. As we've got Maximilian Thunstrom and Felix Perez. Perez really not that far away from the net lead either now. But right, let's see what happens here. So we've also seen that if they're pitting in exactly the same lap this time, which they did, the medium tired runners and the super softs are going to be absolutely together at the end again, aren't they?
Absolutely. But just to note, Wagner lost out. He didn't lose out as much as Zylander. Powers came out in 7th. Zylander's down in 19th. As now Adrian Simon lines up the championship leader. And I think Thunstrom might have lost out here. Simon down the inside. They're going to go 3 wide almost into turn 2. Thunstrom just keeps ahead as Simon is through on Powers. But Adrian Simon now on the tail of the net race leader.
Wow, what a move from Maximilian Thunstrom. Decisive, but also obviously with his engineer in his ear saying, keep right for the love of everything. So Maximilian Thunstrom, again, net lead of the race. Absolutely brilliant. He's had the pace so far. Adrian Simon now in full chase mode, while Nathaniel Powers, the longer he can keep on Adrian Simon's tail here, it brings him more and more into contention every lap for this win and indeed his championship.
It certainly does. Perez, it's worked out quite nicely for him. He's slotted into 7th ahead, still of Klaas Van Snelheid then, who's struggled to make progress after that initial stint, but up front at the moment. And I think for the next few laps, we've got 2 cars on the soft tyres that we wrote off a lot earlier in this race.
I'm still writing them off, I'm afraid. Marcus Thunder and Nick Anderson are going to have a difficult day of the rest of this, but Enrique Ruiz there on the fresh tyre. 102.9, I believe that says.
That's a rapid lap. I think the lap record so far is a 105 something. So they've absolutely annihilated that here today. But we've seen that for most of this season, to be fair. They've been smashing the lap record.
Oh, these cars have supreme amounts of grip. The bigger rear wings compared to last year, and the more swept front wing, providing downforce galore, plus more power in the engines as the regulations have evolved for the powertrain.
Absolutely. I'd just like to correct myself, because I'm not sure Thunder and Addison will be heading this for too much longer, because Thunstrom and Simon are rapidly catching the top 2 on the soft tyres.
Yeah, and I think that with newish at this point super softs against very, very old, well, not very old, but pretty old soft tyres, I don't know whether that's going to give just enough of a deficit to be kind of akin to a 2-step difference, or whether or not actually Maximilian Thunstrom, Adrian Simon get blocked a little bit, bring Powers right into play. In fact, who's that now?
I don't know, that's Powers. Ruiz on Powers then. Ruiz pulls out, looks down the inside of Nathaniel Powers at turn 1 and will have the outside of turn 2 to sweep around and move up into 5th place then. Felix Perez can't quite take advantage, but he's all over the rear wing. That down to new sense. It probably won't be long then before Perez is finding his way past as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Felix Perez has just been a little bit more cautious since his incident, as you'd expect, but his pace is still pretty good, and I think it's going to be a matter of time, as you say, going from that penultimate corner, flat chat all the way down to turn 1. I think it's where he's going to make his move.
Absolutely. I think Powers driving smart here as well. He knows there's no point fighting these guys because he's going to cost himself time. And he's got Thunder and Addison up front who could bring him into this, as we now see.
Oh, they're doing his job for him at this point.
Yeah, Thunstrom and Simon now onto the back of Nick Addison. But Powers has just got to drive round. He can let these guys by. He doesn't need to scrap with them. They're going to have to pit again. He isn't.
Absolutely, this is crucial. And Maximilian Thunstrom has gone to the outside for turn 1 ahead of Nick Addison, but he's clear before the braking zone. So Maximilian Thunstrom now through. And it is a Lucas 1-2 after 34 laps of the US V-Prix.
Brilliantly decisive move there from Maximilian Thunstrom, as behind that is now Perez sweeping past Nathaniel Powers. So the Mexican moves up to 6th. But as we said, Powers has just got to stick with them. Do you know what? I'm not sure. This might actually be looking quite good for Nathaniel Powers. But
I've said it all along. I think that medium tyre is going to be right there at the end. Plus, now that we've got this a little bit of a blockage, I mean, Maximilian Thunstrom, the most likely to get through. I'm sure Marcus Thunder's not going to put up too much of a fight against his teammate.
Took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say Thunstrom's going to get away with this, I think, because Thunder will surely not hold his teammate up. But Simon might have a tougher time with this. He's got 2 cars to fight his way past.
Absolutely, and to be fair, he's also got to look in his mirrors, because Enrique Ruiz, there's going to be no team orders there. It's going to be fight to the end, and we know how well those two love to fight each other. Absolutely,
as now Adrian Simon looks to the inside of Nick Addison, then the 2 Lucas are nose to tail. Simon, it's, do you know what? It's actually not as difficult as I think I expected. Simon through on Addison and up into 3rd.
Oh, and Enrique Ruiz behind, thinking he saw the door open, smashed his foot onto the throttle there, lit up the rear tyres, slid around, but stays behind. Spectacular, but ineffective. As we now have a change for the lead.
Yep, this is Thunstrom then, up the inside of his teammate. Marcus Thunder, he does fight him. Thunder is keeping his foot in. Thunstrom, though, holds it round the outside. They're still wheel to wheel. The 2 Lucas cars, Lucas Wilson, will have his head in his hands on the pit wall as Thunder keeps the lead.
What is Marcus Thunder doing? Absolutely extraordinary racing, fantastic racing. But, again, not quite what you'd be expecting from 2 teammates when one of them is in with a shout of the lead. And
he's eradicated the gap between Thunstrom and Simon.
Oh, wow.
Adrian Simon then is now right with the top 2. Thunder leading Thunstrom. Thunstrom pulls out. He's pulling the move that he made on Nick Addison. Can he get clear of his teammate before the braking zone? He can't quite. Thunder's still there. Nose up the inside, but they just get away with it. And Thunstrom goes through then. Retakes the lead here at Indianapolis, but Marcus Thunder did not make it easy for him, as behind Ruiz and Perez now have demoted Nick Addison.
I think that all that happened, I don't know whether there was a case there. Marcus Thunder knows he's a good racing driver. He's just proving it to the team once. Now he's going to hold Seymour up a little bit just to kind of rebuild that gap. But it's a risky way of doing it, but it certainly shows Marcus Thunder knows how to drive a race car.
It certainly does, doesn't it? As Thunstrom now then scampering off into the distance. Thunder will be doing his best, you assume, to hold up Adrian Simon, but he's going to have a pack of them there before long. Simon, Ruiz and Perez all over the back of him.
That gap's going to be up. Oh no, but there you go, Marcus Thunder in the pits now, so doesn't even hold Adrian Simon up through the final couple of corners. So Simon up to second, 1.2 seconds the gap. So wow, most of it got restored, but certainly not all of it. But Lucas, I don't think, are going to be best pleased.
No, I don't think they are. That makes his decision to hold up his teammate look even stranger. Is that Powers attacking Addison? Nathaniel Powers on the fresh medium tyres, attacking Nick Addison on worn softs, and Powers goes through, and Klaas van Snelheid follows his teammate past the Australian.
Wow, I thought Nick Addison was going to close the door there just for a second, but no, Klaas van Snelheid still getting the wrong brother. Klaas van Snelheid following Powers through brilliantly, but I'd expect van Snelheid and Powers to be swapping positions relatively soon. I still think that with the way that the championship's poised, there's not going to be an awful lot in the way of team orders from Downton here.
There will be absolutely none, but Powers is also a smart driver. I think, he knows at this point there is just over 20 laps left, and his teammate has to make one more stop yet.
Yeah, most definitely. And, well, let's have a look. How far is Nathaniel Powers off the race lead here? That's 5 seconds.
Yep, that's it.
Well, there you go.
With a, 25... It's 30 seconds in the pit lane. How long does it take them to go down the straight? 10?
A few seconds. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3, so just...
As the 2 down and swap position, that is Klaas van Snelheid up into 5th then, ahead of Powers. And I'm guessing this is what the yellow flag was. It's Johan Halverson. He's not had the best day of things, has he? And
that is a Ford engine...
That's conked out.
Yeah, grinding to a halt there. Did well to pull it off the circuit though, so no further problems for anybody else. But yeah, Johan Halverson, a hard day all round really. But yeah, at least he gets to finish early.
Yes, indeed. First he got sideswiped by Felix Perez, and now the engine's decided it's actually had enough of, functioning.
But, so Adrian Simon half a second away, Enrique Ruiz half a second away further back, Felix Perez half a second behind that. 4 for the lead here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Once
again, as we've got 20 laps remaining now here, once again, you have to say, Perez probably looks the quickest.
He does. Is he going to do exactly the same as he did last time, where he's had an off, had an accident, had an incident, whatever, then got his way back to the front? I'm not going to say what might happen after that. But, yeah, that first has a fantastic amount of intrinsic pace.
It certainly does. At least in these last 2 races, we haven't seen it for most of the season. They've really, really struggled, especially in qualifying, especially with Will Hoskins. But these last 2 races, Perez, I mean, not so much Hoskins, he's been sort of back end of the top 10, but Perez has come alive.
Yeah, I think there's an element of it that, don't forget, these teams have to bring the upgrades to the circuit, and it's an awful lot easier to traverse North America from South Carolina than it is to ship it across to Europe or fly it across. So I don't know whether there is just an element that they've had the opportunity, the time to get everything exactly as they want it in terms of upgrades, in terms of parts, and they've taken it to the circuit and they put it down and it works a treat.
That is a very fair point. As well, I wasn't expecting Nikolai Milkovic to feature in the lead battle today, but it seems as though he's about to. Milkovic being lapped is not helping Thunstrom here at all, but now he does. He lets the Swede by then and slots in front of Adrian Simon. In fact, he is helping Thunstrom now. He's held up both Mathieu Porsches and Felix Perez. Milkovic needs to get out of the way here. This is costing them, as Perez now looks to the outside of Ruiz, but Ruiz in fact has used that to his advantage to go past Simon.
Wow, Ruiz there, opportunist as ever, but that has quadrupled the lead for Maximilian Thunstrom, and Perez still trying to get past. I think the high wind photographers now are taking all their photos for the season, as it looks like they are battling for the lead. But Felix Perez still not through, and look, Klaus van Snelheid with them. Behind.
Yeah, Ruiz then was 4th for a second, and a split second later he was up into 2nd. Perez now finally through past Nikolai Milkovic. Klaus van Snelheid has put a lap on the high wind as well. But I tell you who else this helps, and that's Nathaniel Powers.
Yeah, I think it's now 4th. I think it's still a 5-second net gap between Powers and Thunstrom. I think Enrique Ruiz, now he's got a bit of clear air, made up 2 tenths in that last lap to Maximilian Thunstrom, smelling three in a row here, but he's going to have to work hard for it, that's for sure.
Well, Ruiz is only going to win this if someone decides to bin it in the last handful of laps. That seems to be the way it's going recently. That's Powers defending from Hoskins. It seems to be as the two of them now lap Milkovic.
Tell you what, Milkovic is having a whale of a time here. He's now that everyone's gone, he's just using up all the rear tyres that he's got.
I don't think he's got any.
Well, I don't know. That's half the problem, isn't it, really? But Maximilian Thunstrom still 1.5 seconds up the road from Enrique Ruiz, but catching slowly, but not catching particularly much. It's going to be close, and I think that there's going to be another twist in the tail rather than Ruiz just driving up, certainly.
Yes, it certainly seems as though there might be, but well, it's been bloody brilliant so far. And as you say, we still have a good, I can't count, 17 laps to go. And still a round of pit stops that could throw everything up in the air.
Most definitely. Looking at the gaps with Powers, now that everyone has managed to get past the high wind, I think that gap between Thunstrom and Powers in 6th has now doubled. So I think that it's gone from 5 seconds to nearer 9 in about a lap and a half. So there is a huge delta, don't get me wrong, but there's also a huge time on the pit lane. So this is,
when are they due in? It'll be around lap 44, 45, won't it?
Yeah, kind of about 14, 15 laps.
So I think it's fairly safe to say that when these guys pit, Powers will cycle back to the front.
Yes, and it's just going to be a case of how much time they've got to actually make the move and catch and then pass. But as a very wise man once said, it's one thing to catch someone, but it's a completely different thing to try and overtake them.
It certainly is. As that is Powers defending from Hoskins. The two Lopez cars wheel to wheel. That's Kanga getting past his teammate Elroy Wagner. Not been the best of races for the Estonian so far.
No, but also Wagner now has had a bit of an issue. He's now obviously in the pit stops where he's lost some time. He's now 5 seconds off Nathaniel Powers nearly. So what looked like a race where Wagner was in the fight for victory, he's just lost that little bit now. And with how close it is between them and the top 5 on the super soft tyre, it's now been the difference almost between, you know, first or second and sixth or seventh, really, for Wagner.
Yeah, I have to say, Thierry Zylander's done really well to come back after
Sorry
his
to
rough.
cut across.
Oh,
we've got,
that's
Enrique Ruiz in the pits.
Simon,
no, sorry,
I think.
Adrian Simon. Yeah.
Yeah, Simon then. First driver in. This is early.
It's early, but he'll be okay. Klaas van Snelheid follows him in, though. So they'll both be okay. Interestingly, Van Snelheid went long, then went short, and is now went short, went long, and now has gone short again. So it's clearly very much on the cusp of whether they want to go 14 or 15 laps for a stint.
He's just trying to keep his team on their toes, isn't he?
Yeah, well, at least he's exiting the pit lane this year.
Well, this is true. He didn't even enter it last year.
Well, no. Oh no, yeah, that's very true, isn't it?
Yes, an issue with the wheel guns down at Downton meant Klaas was unable to pit, and what looked like a certain victory slipped away from him as he was stuck out on very, very worn tyres. But Adrian Simon then rejoins in 13th after his final pit stop. He's behind Thunder.
Yes, he is behind Thunder, and Klaas van Snelheid behind Jules Barclay. So is Barclay going to earn something in the way of a Porsche Young Driver contract by holding Klaas up for Simon?
Well, Simon is now no longer behind Thunder, so that was pretty swiftly done. You sense Klaas will probably get past Barclay as swiftly as Ruiz and Perez now dive in.
Sundstrom's gone another lap.
He has again. He
Yeah,
did it last time as well. He went
going
2 more
and
laps
going and
than Van Snelheid last time.
Meanwhile, Nathaniel Power, as easy as you like to see the gap now, it's 11.2 seconds to the lead. So by the time Sundstrom pits, if he pits next time by, what will we expect? Probably 15 seconds that the Supersoft has to have to make up to pass Powers for the win.
I think it'd be something around there. As Enrique Ruiz, where's he going to rejoin in relation to his teammate then? Simon takes turn 1. Ruiz on the outside of turn 2. They bang wheels. But I think it's going to be, they're still side by side. Ruiz keeping his nose in. Ruiz goes through. Simon holds it on the outside though. They're still side by side. The two Mathshaw Porsches, and it's Simon that wins out.
Say what you like about the two of them. I have the best 2 racing drivers on the grid. I'm telling you.
I disagree, but...
Racing drivers, not necessarily the fastest, but the best.
No, I still disagree.
Well, that's fine. Maximilian Thunderstrom in the pits. Nathaniel Powers will take the net lead. That lead for Thunderstrom, of course, dwindling now. But, right, this is crunch time. Nathaniel Powers will go past. We'll see who, and we'll see what that gap is. But Oroy Wagner, of course, will take second provisionally.
Yeah, and it's Hunter Ryan on the mediums as well.
No, Hunter Ryan's just pitted.
Oh, okay.
Take
Ryan out of the equation then.
Thierry Zylander in net third. So actually, not only are they going to have to make the time up from Powers, they're going to have to get past Oroy Wagner and
we need to keep
Zylander.
an eye on this. Thunderstrom versus Simon. Thunderstrom then is he's gone longer, which is going to have cost him. He has come out ahead of Adrian Simon then. So Simon and Ruiz battling has helped Maximilian Thunderstrom. We saw how close it was, him going an extra lap last time. I thought it might just cost him here, but Thunderstrom has just got away with it then.
Yeah, brilliant from the Lucas pit crew there. Gets him out ahead. As you say, Simon and Ruiz working against each other once more, but it was only a net 0.2 of a second that the Porsches managed to gain on Thunderstrom. And yeah, you have to say, with that 5.5 seconds of clear air for Thunderstrom to get to Zylander, they're going to be able to eat an awful lot into that gap into the top 3 quite early on in this stint. Maybe just have a couple of laps to then preserve tyre before really going for those overtakes.
Absolutely. I do wonder how close that would have been had Simon and Ruiz not spent the first half of the last lap side by side.
But I think it would have been side by side on the exit. I think it would have been racing. But
I think it might have been. They've got to put that out of their minds now. They see their target in front of them, but not only that, they've got 3 cars further up the road that they need to get past first.
Yeah, I think this is it's so finely poised. 11 laps to go. The gap to the front, 12 seconds. So, well, we've seen that delta of a second and more than a second between the super soft and the medium quite a few times before. But with the way the overtakes are going, I think that the only real opportunity they're going to have, unless there's chaos going into this corner here, will be turn 1 after that long pit straight and the slipstream. So, this is fascinating.
It certainly is. Absolutely no idea what is going to happen here then at Indianapolis, and it's always the way, isn't it? Indianapolis always gives us a phenomenal race. Nathaniel Powers leads on the medium tyres from Wagner and Zylander, also on the mediums. They're being hunted down by Thunderstrom, Simon, Ruiz, Perez and Van Snelheid, all on the super softs. What a final 10 laps we are in for.
Oh, this is just absolutely incredible. I was going to say let's have a look down the order at the lower point standings, but you've had to go through the top 8 just to think about who could be in with a shout of winning this thing. It's incredible. Marcus Thunder and Nick Addison, the 2 soft-tired runners. So with the pace of Sundstrom, you have to say that if the soft tyre was going to be a good call, Thunder and Addison would have been right there as well. So it's just fascinating. Hoskins,
Absolutely.
a little bit disappointing, though, I find, again.
Well, that's been the theme of the season, hasn't it, really? Kanga as well has not gone particularly well for him this race. Just a note, now that everyone has made their pit stops, we are expecting changes in these last 10 laps. However, if it finishes as it is, both championships will be wrapped up here today then. As it stands, Nathaniel Powers is 10 laps from a 5th world title.
Wow. I mean, it's a mark of a man who has been absolutely dominant this season. He hasn't had it all his own way the last few races, to be fair, but I think 5 world titles for Nathaniel Powers, if it comes off today, it's going to be incredible, and what a place to win it. One of the most historic racing circuits in the world. If it doesn't happen today, he's going to try again next time, and it's going to be great.
Absolutely. Here we go then. This is Maximilian Thunstrom already onto the back of Thierry Zylander then. We said there'd be changes. This will surely be the first one. Zylander is on worn and aging medium tyres. Thunstrom on fresh, sticky, grippy, call them what you like, he's on them. It's super softs, and Thunstrom, that wasn't even a contest, was it? Oh, Zylander's hanging it around the outside in fairness, but that is not really a place we've seen many overtakes this race, but Thunstrom on those fresh super softs is through into 3rd.
It was easy, but Maximilian Thunstrom certainly not being easy on his car there, absolutely clambering over that left-hand curve, absolutely just battering it.
He needed to do it though, didn't he? Look how rapidly the Mathershaw Porsches and Perez behind have already caught Zylander. If Thunstrom hadn't done that there and had waited for turn 1, he'd have them up behind him already.
No, absolutely. I think it needed to be done, but he just needs to be careful. I think that with every overtake he makes here, there's only needs to be 3 for the win, but it's going to be the hardest 3 overtakes of his career, I'm sure. Each of those overtakes means the next one can have a little bit less risk.
Yeah, Simon through, and Ruiz takes advantage as well then. They're both past Thierry Zylander, and the Belgian slips to 6th. I don't think he was really expecting to hold 3rd, but that'll still be disappointing. With any luck for Zylander, he will still secure a points finish. I think Thunder and Hoskins will probably be about where the ball stops for him.
I think 8th will be a very achievable target for Zylander here.
Absolutely.
And he has managed to keep Felix Perez behind throughout the rest of the lap, unlike when he was battling Thunstrom. So I don't know whether or not in that incident Perez has lost a little bit of his pace with some damage to his wing or something like that. But Zylander doing a great job of defending.
I don't know. We've definitely seen rapid pace from Perez since that incident. I think probably just not quite as decisive as Thunstrom was with that overtake. But look at the gap.
Maybe.
He's now only 7 seconds off the lead, and there's 8 laps to go. He's taking more than a second, is Maximilian Thunstrom, out of Nathaniel Powers, as now Perez goes past Zylander and demotes the Belgian to 7th. Zylander will try and hold it, but it's absolutely not going to happen.
Yeah, well done Perez, well done Zylander. Good racing all round. Kanga up to 11th ahead of Addison now. For the fringes of the points. So
Hoskins as well. They've both done Addison.
Yeah, actually they have, haven't they? Yeah. So Hoskins now up for a point, riding on board with championship leader and race leader. Couldn't be going much better today.
Was it just me, or did it look rather pedestrian through those through that right and left?
I was going to suggest that there might have been an issue, but I also then saw him speed up and thought, well, maybe not. He is just stroking it home.
He is, but he has lost quite a chunk of time. The gap's down to 5.7.
Yeah, but he hasn't lost anything to Rory Wagner. I think that's just tyre. You might find that it is looking a bit pedestrian out of in the acceleration zones, just because there's not an awful lot left for that tyre to give.
That's true, and in fairness, I think anything compared to Thunstrom at the moment is going to look pedestrian. The Swede absolutely flying, although he's got Adrian Simon now only just over a second behind him. So the Mathershaw Porsches are coming, even if they all get past the medium-tired runners. We still don't know who's going to win. This is incredible.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. I think Thunstrom being the first to get to all of these medium-tired runners, if he doesn't manage to get past, he has a disadvantage. But to be honest, I think he holds all the cards. He gets a couple of corners to size them up to make the move. Adrian Simon, Enrique Ruiz, actually they've both pulled away from Felix Perez a little bit with the time that it took them to get past Zylander. But honestly, if anyone's going to win this from the super soft runners, I think we're on board with him right now.
Well, it seems to be the way, doesn't it? He is now on the back of Elroy Wagner, needs to get this move done, you'd suggest, at turn 1 and 2 this time around, to give him the maximum opportunity to attack Nathaniel Powers up front. And Thunstrom is well in the slipstream. He's going to do the move that he's perfected with. He's the only one we've seen do that this time round, the outside, down the start, finish straight. And Thunstrom is through before the break zone and into second place, and now chasing after race leader Nathaniel Powers.
4 seconds, 5 laps. It's absolutely game on for Maximilian Thunstrom in that Lucas now.
It is looking good, isn't it? Thunstrom is flying. Wagner now will defend from Simon and Ruiz, but surely the pair of them will be through before long. But I tell you what, if Wagner can just back them up until the end of the lap, that's going to do Thunstrom very nicely.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think even in clear air now, these Porsches, they don't have quite the outright pace anymore. And obviously this only helps, but...
and they're fighting as well. Ruiz looks to the inside of Adrian Simon, and they absolutely don't need to be doing that.
Absolutely. Don't forget, though, that although they would like to win this race, don't forget there is a fight for second in the championship. If they can both get past Elroy Wagner, it just helps them out that little bit more against Lopez and indeed Franklin. So while they're battling, I think that they will have their eyes on the immediate prize.
Yeah, indeed, as there we go. Adrian Simon now at the inside of Elroy Wagner into turn 1. Simon surely going to get that done on the exit of 2. Can Ruiz take advantage? He's gone for it. He's absolutely slingshotted around the outside, and the two Matthew Shaw Porsches work as one to go past Elroy Wagner, and they're up into 3rd and 4th.
The more I watch these two race my cars, the more I think it's like big brother and little brother. You know, they fight each other like cat and dog. They will take each other out, but they will also help each other against everyone else. Good teamwork there from Simon and Ruiz, but I think Thunstrom now, what's that gap? Best part of 2, in fact it is 2 seconds, but it's 2.5 seconds of Maximilian Thunstrom to find to then overtake Nathaniel Powers for his first victory in Formula Virtual.
He's romping up to the back of the championship leader, isn't he?
Oh, it's incredible. This is absolutely exhilarating.
We keep seeing this from Indianapolis. We keep saying it. It produces thrilling race after thrilling race, and we're going to see it again here today. Surely it's a grandstand finish. Nathaniel Powers starts lap 55 of 58 here at Indianapolis. He's got Maximilian Thunstrom, Adrian Simon, Enrique Ruiz bearing down on him, as now Felix Perez on the outside of Elroy Wagner. I said we've not seen anyone else do that move, but well, Perez has just proven me wrong. He's replicated Maximilian Thunstrom, goes past Wagner into 5th then. Klaus van Schnellheide will be next behind the Lopez, but up front, Powers' lead is shrinking all the time as Thunder's in the pits.
Yeah, Thunder has to pit again. Not good news at all for the other Lucas, but this Lucas here, think of the company, think of the World Championships that he is racing against here. He's already ahead of Adrian Simon and Enrique Ruiz, and we've got another 4, possibly soon to be 5 ahead of him. I think this race is the defining moment so far of Thunstrom's career. No matter what happens, absolutely incredible. In the top 4 drivers, we have 8 World Championships, and this man sat in 2nd place, doesn't even have a race win. Yeah, absolutely.
And he's taken the challenge to all of them.
In fact, in the top 6, we've got Elroy Wagner. So, well, it's just an embarrassment of riches in this top 6. We've got Felix Perez, race winner, including, you know, some of the best driving we've seen this season as well. Oh, what company for Maximilian Thunstrom, and he's now 0.3 of a second away.
He is indeed, as Klaus van Schnellheide goes around the outside of Elroy Wagner at turn 1, then up into 6th of Thunstrom. Thunstrom is on the tail of Nathaniel Powers. We're on the 3rd to last lap here at Indianapolis, and Thunstrom is looking for the lead. He's gone for it. He's gone up the inside. You don't need to do it there, Maxi, but he's through. Has he? Powers is fighting him. Thunstrom takes the lead. Powers has come back at him though. Nathaniel Powers is not going to give this one up, but he has to. Thunstrom around the outside is back in front.
What a move! Maximilian Thunstrom takes the lead, overtakes Nathaniel Powers in spectacular fashion. Absolutely glorious. Go on, lad.
I said he didn't have to get it done. I think he actually might have done. Simon and Ruiz are there already.
Oh, what a move. Maximilian Thunstrom has been by far the most impressive driver today, but this is the coming of age for Maximilian Thunstrom. Absolutely incredible. And Nathaniel Powers will hold off Adrian Simon into turn 1, letting Thunstrom just extend that lead just that little bit more for the next lap. 2 laps to go. Oh, I'm just absolutely enthralled.
It's working phenomenally. The penultimate lap here at Indianapolis. Thunstrom is through into the lead.
and he is a lap and a half away from an outstanding maiden victory where he has taken it to some of the best drivers in Formula Virtual. In fact, probably the 3 best in history if you were to name them. Powers, Simon, Ruiz, and he's come out ahead of the lot of them. He's got 1 lap to go. Simon still struggling to find his way past Powers. Thunstrom's lead grows by the corner.
Oh, it's beautiful. And don't forget that these 3 drivers that we are, I think, all in agreement that are the best in history, they're also in the 2 best cars on the grid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maximilian Thunstrom in a Lucas is leading the US V-Prix ahead of these 3 and is driving away from them in beautiful fashion as he starts his final lap.
Here we go then. 1 to go here at the Brickyard. Adrian Simon is now looking up the inside of Nathaniel Powers. He will surely demote Powers from 2nd place. Powers is going to try and hang it. It's the inside of turn 2, but that's not going to work. Behind them, Perez trying to take advantage. Perez on Enrique Ruiz then. The 2 of them fighting is surely going to aid Powers. Perez goes through into 4th, but I think that might have helped Nathaniel Powers at least hold on to a podium here then. Simon is through, but he's over 2 seconds behind Thunstrom. There's no chance he's going to do that.
No, absolutely. Maximilian Thunstrom now just keep it calm, keep it steady, keep it on the track, and he's going to do it. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3.
No, surely not. No, it's not. It's Giordano slipping down the order. Giordano's out then. But what that does do, as soon as Powers lost the lead then, his hopes of the championship went here today. But that is not the story. The story is this young 21-year-old Swede, Maximilian Thunstrom. He drove brilliantly last time out in Canada and picked up a podium as Perez threw it off the road. He's driven even better here today. Maximilian Thunstrom is a winner in Formula Virtual. It's an outstanding drive. Adrian Simon finishes 2nd. Powers is 3rd to give Downton their 4th Constructors' Championship. There is 1 title secure here today then. It's not the drivers, but a brilliant result. Perez in 5th from Ruiz then, rounding out the top 5. But Thunstrom, arguably, has stolen the headlines from Downton taking the Constructors.
Oh, driver of the day, driver of the season, driver of Formula Virtual history, quite frankly, today. That was the best performance I've ever seen in a race car.
Oh, what a drive. What a performance from Maximilian Thunstrom. He just did everything perfectly. The last 2 races have been brilliant examples of what you can do in a car if you get the strategy right and the racing right. Perez, he was nearly there, but made the mistakes and got it wrong. Thunstrom was inch perfect today.
Oh, just the best on the track by a long way. Absolutely stunning.
Maximilian Thunstrom then. What a drive, what a result. Him and Lucas on the top step here at Indianapolis. Lucas's first win since 2013, but unbelievable then as Thunstrom heads back to the pits to start the celebrations and the podium.
Here come the drivers out onto the podium then. In 3rd place for the Downton FB team, his 9th podium of the season, but his 1st on the bottom step, Nathaniel Powers. In 2nd place for Coca-Cola Porsche Team Mathishaw, it's his 4th appearance on the rostrum this season, but his 1st since the Emirates V-Prix, it's Adrian Simon. And onto the top step then, for the Johnny Walker Lucas V-Prix team, 2 weeks on from his maiden podium, it's a maiden victory in Formula Virtual. Maximilian Thunstrom! And in his honour, the Swedish national anthem.
A sublime drive for the Swede then against some phenomenal talent, sees him pick up just a brilliant maiden victory. Simon and Powers completing the podium. Perez stealing fourth from Ruiz on the line then as class French Schnellheid, Wagner, Hoskins, Zylander and Alarkanga complete the points, made up solely of soft, super soft and medium tired runners. The highest soft tired finisher was Marcus Thunder down in 18th, as they all, apart from John Matson, ended up having to do that extra stop then. Felix Perez, obviously with that incident early on, threw away what could have been another victory. Did pick up fastest lap. It will be scant consolation then, as Johan Halverson put Giordano a late retirement there. In the Drivers' Championship, well, Nathaniel Powers was 5 points from clinching his 5th title. It is now very likely that that will happen next time out in Mexico. Adrian Simon and Maximilian Thunstrom unsurprisingly gaining significant ground in the championship. Thunstrom now then up into 8th position and looking as though he could catch the guys ahead. Thierry Zylander also moving back past Hunter Ryan after Ryan took that position last time out. A good little scrap there between the two of them in the sort of the mid-ground of the Drivers' Championship. And moving on to the Constructors then, that is now finally sorted. Downton are 4-time Constructor champions. They are uncatchable with 2 rounds to go and finally go clear at the top as Lopez go back past Franklin for 3rd then, and there are no changes further down. Lucas have pulled away ever so slightly from 1st. But that's all from our race here today at Indianapolis. So from both me and Rob, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time for round 15 from Mexico City, Mexico.